So welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to continue the project and add Ajax loading. And we are not using any databases for now. We are just simulating some data in the back end and returning it. So let's go to index page, which is going to be our only page in this project. And I need to add an Ajax call and call this URL here. It's going to be API book, and we're going to call for a get method. So let's go to index page, and here I add methods here, and let's name it get books, and it's a function. We don't need any names. And here we are going to call for data in the backend using Ajax, and let's use jQuery because we already have it, and jQuery is probably the most popular framework or library to work with Ajax, and most of you already know this. There are other libraries more sophisticated for using Ajax, but jQuery is usually the preferred one for me at least. And let's put it the parameters here. URL would be API book. We don't need any other value parameter because it's just a default action, and it's a get method, and we already have this control level route. And next we need to set the where is going to be the data. And what is going to be the method we are going to use? Method is get, and when we are done with Ajax call, we need to add a function, and this is the data that is coming back from the server, and this is where we should put the code to react to resolve data and change the UI with it. So let's add books here, and it's going to be an empty array. When we are done, we are going to fill this array, and to do that we need a pointer to the view object. So let's create a variable here and use this vm.books, and let's assign the data to that part, and that's it for us for now. It's the simplest way you can implement filling the array. And so let's come back here and remove this message. We don't need anymore, we have tested it before. And I want to use table. There is going to be a head. If we go back to the book, we have three fields, three properties here. I'm going to just show two of them for now. It would be the name and the year. Name and year. We can always come back and add more, but for now it would be enough. And in here, when you're using Vue.js, it's very easy to go through an RI and show everything. Use B4, and we are going to use books, book in books, and let's use book dot name here and book dot year here. So that's it. Let's run the application and see if it's working. So our application is up and running, and it seems that it's not working right now. If I go to my developer tools here, there is a view extension for Chrome and other browsers that you can use to see what is happening in the background. And if I go to root here, you see that the books array is empty. There are other tools in this extension that if you are using Vue.js, I highly recommend that you install this and check how it works. But for now, we know that the books array is empty, and there are ways to test the data and see what's the problem. But for us right now, the problem is only that we have created a method, but we never called it. So to call this method, I have to add another part to my Vue object, and that would be mounted, and it's going to be a function. Let's do this way, mounted function. Let's call get books, and also we need to add this. Let's save it and run the project again. So as you can see, this time the data is showing up. Mounted is a way to listen to events that happened that happens to your Vue object. So what is this mounted in Vue.js? If you take a look at the lifecycle diagram of Vue.js, you see a mounted event. It happens when the virtual DOM rendered and patched and ready to use, which means the page is fully loaded and user is about to use the page. That's when any code that you put in mounted function would be called, and that's usually where you want to load data from backend to frontend, because you need the page to be ready and CSS, HTML to be there, and everything should be already in the page so that you could put things inside it. So I usually use mounted. There are ways to show spinning or progress bar or different things, but this is a simple application and we just want to show the data, and it's not going to take much long. But if you're using a real project with real backend, it's good idea to add some kind of a spinner or progress bar to show the user that something is happening in the background, and he has to wait for a couple of moments or seconds to see the data. There's one small thing that we need to add. We need to add a class and use bootstraps table class, and I like to add table dash hover table dash striped, and that's it. Let's save it and see how it works. Much better now. There's name, year, and the data is showing. Remember that we are not using any database in the background, but it's all the same. If I change my controller here to read the data from a database, nothing would change in the front end. So when you are testing your data for the first time, testing your BBGS application for the first time, you don't need to use real data or a real database. You can just simulate data. You can always use a JSON file if you are not using any control in the background. You can use a JSON file and put this data inside that file and test it using a different URL, and that usually works. That's a good idea in my opinion, that you use things without any noise and without caring if the database is working, or if the entity framework is there, or if you are using the right setting for your MongoDB. It's always a good idea to make sure that things work the way they should in the front end. Then you can take a look in the back end and take care of that part, which is what we are going to do in the next video.